our service in the microfinance institution. And we were privileged to have one wonderful man called Terry, and Terry Lennon was the name. And we had a very nice time. And as we said, this is going to be, it's a 4 series that we are running. This is the second series of the 4 sections that we are doing. And today, our topic for discussion is becoming a sales champion, where our focus will be on the skills and techniques that will help us to become a sales champion. Let us all not forget that today's webinar is hosted by Gamfin and Kaplas through our partnership with MasterCard Foundation to strengthen Ghana's non-bank financial institution or sector. The program is called FIRST Plus, which stands for First Financial Institution Resilience and Strengthening. My name is Edmond Benjamin Adi, and I'm the head of operations and then the M&E officer of Gamfin. What is this First Plus and what are they to do? First Plus addresses common challenges across the industry through webinar like this that we having, workshop and training sections. Kaplas also provides one-on-one technical assistance to financial institutions that are committed to scaling MSME finance. At the end of this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, we'll provide contact information if you like to learn more. Today's presenter, as I said, is Terry Lennon. Terry is an experienced international training consultant in marketing, sales, leadership, change management, customer service, and strategy for the financial service sectors. He had worked extensively in East Africa, particularly Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda over the past 9 years, and has trained over 3,000 personnel. One good thing is that he had the opportunity to also start training us as Ghanaians, and he's going to add to his experience because I know that he's coming to Ghana by this Saturday, and he's also going to have that physical encounter with some of the institutions that are under this project. Terry has a strong focus on understanding the marketing mix, which is the product, price, place, and promotion, segmentation, negotiation skills, and meeting the strategic goals of financial institution. He has significant experience in training personnel in marketing communication to increase influence potential, and display a professional image to both internal and external customers. Throughout this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, we encourage you to submit questions for Terry in the chat box, and we will address as many as possible at the end of the webinar. We are recording this webinar, so it means that at the end of the day, we will send you the video and then that of the slides to be able to have further knowledge or further insight about the presentation that we've had. Ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome to you Terry Lennon. Terry, you have the non-financial institution sector with us, made up of 7 different association members currently on board. This is your people for the next an hour and a half, and I say the floor is all yours. Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you, Edmund. Thank you for that nice introduction. And good morning, everybody. Good to see you. I can't see you, but I hope you can all see me. And I'm looking forward to our time together talking about sales. Sales is one of my favorite subjects, and it is critical to the success of any institution, not just the microfinance institutions in Ghana, to every organization. If you don't have sales, you don't have anything. So sales are critical. As Edmund said, I am traveling to Ghana this coming Saturday. So I am really looking forward to it. And hopefully I will get to meet some of you in person and see you, and maybe even continue this conversation. As Edmund also said, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat box. Remember, when we're talking about sales, there is no such thing as a silly or a stupid question. So every question is good, and I look forward to getting as many questions and to dealing with as many as possible at the end of the session. So, as I said, sales is so important to everybody. And our objectives that we want to cover over the next while are understanding the fundamentals of sales and how they apply in a microfinance environment. So as I'm talking through my slides that I have prepared, can I ask you to think about yourself and your own institution and see, how does this impact on me? Or how relevant is it to me? So all of the time, all of the stuff I will be talking to, please bring it back home to yourself and see, what does this mean to me? We'll be looking at understanding identifying easy to understand and implementable strategies to improve sales, because that's what we want to do. We're not just talking about academic or theory of sales. We're looking at easy to understand and implementable strategies to improve your sales and your bottom line. We look at how to improve the generation of leads, which is one of the biggest challenges that many institutions and salesmen and saleswomen face. And we look at the 4 disciplines of sales execution or sales implementation, and have a good conversation around that. So starting off, I would advise you, put your customer at the center for success. Because previously, and even nowadays, many people put the product at the center, whereas really the customer should be at the center. As Edmund said, I've trained many bankers in Africa and around the world. And what I find is that when bankers go into a prospect or customer, they talk all about their own products and their products and their products, and they download the product to the poor customer. And really, it's all about understanding the customer. So put your customer at the center. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to solve their problems, and you're trying to help them achieve their opportunities. So remember that your products are a solution to your customers' challenges, or maybe to help them achieve their opportunities. And you should regard them as in that vein. So what are you really selling? Are you selling a product or service, or are you selling yourself? And remember, the first thing that you are selling is yourself. So the first thing that people buy from you is you. Okay, so remember that. So you're selling yourself first. So that is really critical, because customers are buying solutions. They're not buying your products. Your products help them solve an issue or a challenge that they have. Your products will help them, and your products will give solutions to their problems. So customers are buying solutions. So for example, customers don't buy a mortgage. In their mind, they're buying a house or an apartment or a new life with their loved one. So that's what they have in their mind. Your product will help them achieve their goal. They are buying their aspirations and their dreams. So remember that. So as a salesperson, you are helping them. And we all have aspirations and dreams. And it's up to you as a salesperson to try and understand what those dreams and aspirations of your customers are. So that's what you are selling. You are meeting their needs and wants. So that's what I say about putting the customer at the center. You have to really, really, really try to understand the customer and how can you help them. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to see how can you help them achieve their dreams, their goals, their opportunities. So when we look at sales, we say there's 3 things that you need, and you need from yourself. We use the mnemonic ASK, A-S-K. So that's attitude, skills, and knowledge. So remember that mnemonic and think about it in your context, for yourself, for your institution. Ask, attitude, skills, and knowledge. So the first one, attitude. Attitude is what you need from yourself. The most critical requirements you must have in sales are determination, resilience, and motivation. Because it really is tough when you're out there trying to grow your business. So you need the determination to drive on and on and on. And that resilience when people say, no, thank you, I don't want to do business with you today. So you need to have that resilience to say, okay, I go on to the next prospect or the next customer. And you need to have that motivation to try and go after the next customer and the next customer and the next customer. So, and that's an inner motivation. And that's why I say, try and help your customers. So you should be motivated to try and help them. And when we look at attitude, can you as a salesperson keep going when the going gets tough? Because the going will get tough. And it's the personal skills that make all of the difference as a salesperson. Because remember we said, people are buying you first. So people are buying you first. So it's the personal skills that will make the difference if you are successful. So knowledge can be acquired about products, about the market, and about the company. So remember that knowledge can be acquired. So understanding your products, it's hard work at times, but it can be done. Skills can be learned. And kind of what we're doing here today will hopefully help you attain some of the skills necessary to become a better salesperson. But attitude is the key. Attitude is the key. So just remember that knowledge can be learned, but it means you have to put in a lot of work. Skills can be learned, but the attitude of yourself or your sales team is the key. So the personal attributes of a salesperson. So what do good salespeople need to have? They need to have enthusiasm because they're out there meeting customers all of the time. So they have to be enthusiastic. So when you go in front of a customer, you have to be upbeat and you have to be in a good frame of mind. So enthusiasm is one of the foremost things that you need to have. You need to have confidence. You need to have confidence to go in front of a person, maybe an owner of a company, maybe a purchasing director or whatever. Have confidence in yourself and in your product. You need to have intelligence, but particularly of the mental and verbal agility. So what I'm thinking about there is when you're in front of a customer and a customer asks you difficult or challenging questions, you need to have that ability and that verbal agility to answer that customer in a truthful and honest manner, to persuade them to do business with you. You need to have self-worth. So you need to believe in yourself. And some people maybe don't give the regard that salespeople should have. So have self-worth. You're doing a good job. You're a trained professional. You're working for a good organization, and you're there to try and help people. So have this inner confidence in yourself. And obviously, last but not least, you need to have good communication skills. So you need to be able to talk to the customer. You need to be able to have a good banter with the customer. You need to be able to write to the customer and communicate, whether that's emails, whether it's phone, whether it's WhatsApp, or whatever method is necessary. And a good salesperson needs to have knowledge. And here's where a lot of the hard work really comes in, because you have to have customer knowledge. So you need to know about the customer. You need to have company knowledge. So to know about their business. You need to have competitor knowledge, and not just your own competitors in the microfinance industry, but the competitors of your customers. You need to know who they are competing against. You need to have obviously good product knowledge about your own products and how they can help the customer. And you need to have market knowledge. So how is the market operating? What are the challenges in that particular market for you and indeed for your customers? So you need to have the customer knowledge. So you need to know a bit about them personally, and they need to know a bit about you. You need to have company knowledge. You need to have competitor knowledge. So what are your competitors offering? And then for your customer, who are their competitors? You need to have product knowledge, and you need to have market knowledge. So a good person needs to follow. You need to believe in your product. Now, this is a really, really important factor. For many of the thousands of bankers that I have dealt with over the last number of years, this is an area where they really, really all struggle. Because most bankers and people working in financial institutions, they will look at the things that they don't have. They'll say, oh, we are not as good as a competitor in this area. We are not as good as a competitor in that area. But what I would really say to you is, look at where you are good. Because I haven't found an institution or a salesperson who say their product is the best in the market and better than anyone else. There will always be areas where you don't have something that maybe your competitors have. But believe in your product and believe that you can help your customers. Believe in yourself. So as I said, you're professional. You have trained in the bank or in the financial institution. So believe in yourself that you can actually help people. And that's what I meant at the start by putting the customer at the center. You are there to try and help people. As a salesperson, you need to see a lot of people, because a lot of people will say no, and they will say no for many, many reasons. Maybe there's just too much going on in their own lives at the moment. Maybe they have other pressing priorities. So lots of people will say no. But remember, they're not saying no to you personally. They're saying no to your solution at the moment. But that doesn't mean that you can't go back to them in 3 months' time or in 6 months' time or whatever. But you do need to see a lot of people. And I remember one banker I dealt with, I think it was in Kenya. And he said to me, Terry, he says, I will often lose a sale, but I will never lose a relationship. So even though people might say no to you, to your particular product, make sure that you develop a relationship with them so you can call them up or call in 3 months' time or in 6 months' time and say, here, I'm back again, and maybe you might get business from them. A good salesperson needs to pay attention to timing. Really, really critical. And it's a pet consideration of me that salespeople have to be on time. You have to be early. Because if you're not on time, what's the first thing you will say to your customer? You'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry for being late." So that's not a good, confident way to start off a sales meeting. So get yourself there in plenty of time. And really, really important, you have to listen to the customer. Lots of salespeople think that they have to do all the talking, the way I'm doing the talking to you this morning. But in fact, that's not the case. A good salesperson listens more than talk. They ask questions of the customer, okay? They will ask open questions, so you get the customer to talk. But listening is really, really important. And what I found is that many salespeople, they're not really listening to the customer. They're thinking about what they're going to say next, rather than paying full attention to what the customer is saying. So just remember that. Block out all that noise that's in your head and say, what is the customer really, really saying? A good salesperson needs to have a sense of humor. So I know it's finance is a serious industry, but people like to have a bit of fun as well. So go in with a smile on your face, and people like doing business and dealing with someone who's happy to do business with. Make sure you knock on old doors. So what I mean by that is people who have said no to you in the past, put a list of those people together and make it your business to phone them, to call in every 3 months, every 6 months, and eventually you might get some business from them. And the next thing is ask everybody to buy. It seems strange, but many salespeople are afraid to ask that question. They're afraid to say, okay, are you willing to do business with me? And you need to do it. Just say, okay, what you will do is you will listen to the customer. You will understand what their aspirations, what their needs are, maybe what their opportunities. And then you say, I have a solution that I think will help you. Can we do business? Many salespeople are afraid to ask that question because they are afraid that the customer will say no. But if the customer is going to say no, probably the sooner they say it to you, the better it is, because that gives you two options. You then try and understand why the customer is not saying no and try and influence them. But if for some reason they decide, no, they don't want to do business with you today, the sooner you know, the better, because you can then go to your next customer or your next prospect. So ask everybody to buy. And remember to follow up the sale with the same aggressiveness that you demonstrated before the sale. So as a salesperson, you will follow up people and you will promise them things and hopefully deliver. But after the sale, be sure to keep in contact, develop that relationship, phone them up, send them a text, send them a WhatsApp or whatever. Say, is everything okay? And remember, use common sense when you're out there and you're trying to convince customers to buy you. So if customers are saying things that you know are not particularly correct, like they might say the rate being offered by a competitor institution is X, and you know it's not. Use common sense just to move your conversation along with the customer. So just looking at selling skills and techniques. For many salespeople, the challenge of prospecting for new customers presents probably one of the most difficult parts of their jobs. The word prospect means to search or to mine or to hunt for new customers, or indeed to get additional business from existing customers. And it is vital, it's really important that all salespeople have a process for identifying how to get new customers and new business. So everyone has to have their own process by which they will prospect. And there's lots of different ways. And you need to find out what's best suits you and what best suits your organization. Because there's no defined number 1, 2, 3, and 4, or whatever. It depends on the sector that you're in. It depends on yourself, your skills, your capabilities, and it depends on your organization. However, let's just have a look at a number of sales skills and techniques. And from this slide and the next slide, we'll just talk through some of them. And you should be using a range of these. But as we go through them, look and see which do you think suits you best. So on the top left-hand side, we see looking for referrals from existing customers. It always comes up as one of the top 2 sales techniques when we're asking salespeople to identify what's their best selling skill and technique. Remember, if referrals is important to you, then you have to ask customers, your existing customers, to give you a referral. Networking is also important. So you get to know people in maybe a social scene that subsequently you can do business with. Maybe joining local clubs to broaden your range of contacts, or maybe even join the local Chamber of Commerce or trade associations with a view to getting contacts so that you will develop a relationship with people so that you can phone them up or call in and you have something in common then with them. Maybe get a list of potential customers from a local directory and maybe email them or WhatsApp them or phone them up. Or undertake a roadshow in your market area, set up a stall and set out a plan as to where you're going to go in your particular area. Maybe attend church or religious meetings and request time to present your proposition. And obviously using brochures, because I'm sure you all have brochures, but never just leave a brochure with a customer. You want to use this as a selling aid. So never just leave it there with the customer, use it as a selling aid with people and prospects. One of the simplest ways for selling skills is family and friends. So ask your family and friends to do business with you. And then partnerships. For example, with maybe a local motor dealer or other companies that might be in your area. So see, can you develop partnerships? Look at cross-selling to your existing customers. So if a customer has one product with you, how can you sell another product or a third product? And remember that the more products that a customer has with you, the less likely they are to go to the opposition, to another bank. So that's a real reason for trying to cross-sell. Maybe you have the opportunity to upsell to an existing customer. And look at your own database and mine the existing database of customers. Social media is really important nowadays, but only for certain sectors. So social media has to be part of your sales skills or your sales tools now. Maybe take a stand at a trade exhibition or use local influencers. So as I said, you decide which is best for you and use a range of them. Use contacts in the value chain. So your customer suppliers and their customers. So try and get the names and addresses from your own customers of their customers and their suppliers. And then knock on old doors. So prospects who've declined to do business with you in the past. Just say, hello, here I am, Terry, calling in just to see, can I help you? And then previous customers who've done business with you in the past and maybe who have stopped doing business with you. Again, you have a relationship with them, so call into them. And then the last one I have is cold calling or door to door, where you just knock on someone's door It's the most difficult one to do. It's probably the most traditional one, but it's very difficult. But it can be successful, but it takes a lot of time and effort. So there's 20 selling skills or techniques. And as Edmund said, these slides will be up on the website and a recording of this webinar. So have a look and see which are you using, or can you use more to try and enhance your skills, your selling skills. So I want to talk now about the 3 C's, what we call the 3 C's of selling. So there are a few things more fundamental to success in today's sales environment than to have an ability to influence effectively. Because that's what you're trying to do as a salesperson. You're trying to influence someone to do business with you. You're trying to influence them to give them your money on deposit. So influencing is a key sell that all sales people need to have. So you have to work on developing your skills around effective influencing. So that should be one of your biggest priorities. How can I develop my skills in effective influencing so that more people will do business with me? So as you embark on your development journey around influencing in sales, you need to pay attention to the barriers that get in your way. So what is stopping you improving your sales? So the intention here is to raise the awareness so that you can plan to avoid those barriers or to do something to help you improve your influencing. So if we look at this equation, your performance equals your potential minus any interferences. So what that means is that your potential is you can influence 100% of the people. So that's your potential. But there are things that are stopping us. So we need to try and understand what are those things that are stopping us from influencing more and more people. So the equation suggests that your performance is never equal to your potential. So what I'm asking you now today is, can you identify and reduce, even by a little, the interferences that get in your way? Because if you do that, you release more of your potential to increase your sales. So what is it that's stopping you from being more effective? So in the context of developing your skills and your abilities to influence effectively, it's worth taking a few minutes to consider what the interferences might be. So just think about it. What are the things that are stopping you? Is it product knowledge? Is it confidence? Is it bad timing? Is it attitude? So look at those things and say, here's one of the things, and be truthful and honest with yourself and say, okay, how can I start to address them and start to work on them? So if you're looking to influence more people to buy from you more of the time, there are 3 elements that you need to have in place. So if you're looking at trying to influence more people to improve your sales, there's 3 elements that you need to have in place. You need to have confidence, you need to have connection, and you need to have credibility. So remember that the 3 C's: confidence, connection, and credibility will help you look at how to influence more people in sales. And remember that people have free will. And this is about ethical influence rather than manipulation. You're not trying to manipulate people. You're trying to be authentic. So this is about ethical influence rather than manipulation. So this model still requires your proposition to have high potential value to the person or people you're seeking to influence. So confidence is your belief in your own ability to influence. So do I feel confident today going into a new prospect? Credibility is about being believable. So how believable are you? And then connection. This is the harmonious rapport that exists between two or more people. It's an ease of communication, which you can take steps to create. So remember that confidence is your belief in your own ability to influence. Credibility is about being believable. Do people believe you? And then connection is about building rapport with your target audience. So let's look at the three of them in turn. Confidence shows it's a critical state that you have to be able to access when you want to influence someone to buy from you. So if you are not confident when you need to influence, it will have a double impact on you. If you are focused on yourself, so you're focused on yourself rather than the other person or people, it will impair your performance. It will impact your performance. And your own lack of confidence will then leak out in your body language. And the other person will pick that up. And normally it will be unconsciously. And then they will start to reject the validity of what you are saying. So that's why confidence is so, so important. Because if you're in front of a customer and you're just focusing on yourself, then you're not focusing on the customer. Because you're nervous and you're trying to say, oh gosh, I'm nervous in front of this person. So you're thinking negative thoughts, and that lack of confidence leaks out in your body language. And then people will start to reject your argument, and they will start to reject you as well. So how do you improve your confidence? And remember that it's okay to be nervous if you're in front of a customer. In fact, most of us are nervous in front of a customer. So that's okay. But there are things that you can do to improve your confidence. First one is preparation. That has a huge positive impact on confidence. So if you put in the work, if you put in the preparation, that improves your confidence, because your mindset has a direct and tangible impact on the result you get. A mindset of confidence will impact your result very differently from a mindset which is uncertain or anxious. So remember that preparation will help you. Engaging in power poses for 2 minutes will help your body create the right balance of testosterone and cortisol to help you support achieving your outcome through increased confidence. So this is a study that the lady on screen there, Amy Cuddy, undertook some years ago. And she talks about power poses as you see in the photos in front of you, where you hold your hands up like that for 2 minutes before you go in to meet a customer. And Amy Cuddy's experiment showed that when people do that, their testosterone levels in their hormones increase, and that increases your confidence levels. And your cortisol hormones reduce, and they are responsible for how you feel and be nervous. So they reduce your anxiousness. So by doing that, it will help you. Now, Amy Cuddy has a great video on TED Talk. You should have a look at it. And as she says, don't put up your hands like that in front of the customer because they might think you are mad. But do it in an office before you go into a customer, in a bathroom stall or whatever. Visualization is another way of improving your confidence. And this is used by sports people. Top sports people use this, and they've been doing it for many years. So you visualize how the meeting is going to go, and you visualize it being successful. And then practice, practice, practice. Do role play with your colleagues before you go out selling. It always amazes me that sales is so important to the success of microfinance institutions, to banks, to companies, the whole world over. And still, we never really train people how to act in front of a customer. So do role play. I would strongly recommend it. Do role play where one person takes the part of the customer, and then you take your own part trying to sell to someone. And then ask the person or ask someone else to critique how you did. So how did you do? And we're not trying to find faults with someone. You're trying to find out actually how you can improve. So you're looking for someone to critique you rather than to criticize you. So see, how can you improve? And then do it again and again and again. So practice, practice, practice. The second C is credibility. So the word credibility comes from the Latin word credo, which means I believe. So credibility to a large extent is how believable you are. How believable you are. At the heart of being credible is having the right knowledge and being able to put this across in a way that is both compelling and believable. Okay, so you have to have the right knowledge. So you have to put in that homework and understand your products and understand your customers. But then it's about putting that across in a compelling and believable manner. So credibility is communicated in both what you say and how you say it. So remember that it's not just what you say, it's how you say it as well. And here's where the confidence comes in, because if you can give your message in a confident manner, people will believe you more. So you need to create an outward perception of being credible if you want to influence effectively. Now, you might be nervous inside, and that's fine. That's okay. But you're trying to give this perception of confidence. So credibility includes the components of trustworthiness, being trusty, and expertise. And in building credibility, we need to consider what you can do to visibly demonstrate these components to your customers. So it's about your verbal communications, obviously. It's about your non-verbal communications. It's about the reputation that you have in the market. It's about your appearance. Are you dressed appropriately? And obviously, it's about your knowledge. Have you got the product knowledge? Have you got the customer knowledge? And then the final C is connection. So people will buy from people who are like themselves. So it's important to find common interests. So you're trying to build up a rapport with your customers or your prospects to see, is there any area that you have in common together? It could be that you like football, you like to travel, you have children around the same age, that you like to read or whatever. But try and find out what that common connection is, because that will help in your influencing ability. So as a rule, we most prefer to say yes to those requests of people we like and know. So you're trying to get the prospect or the customer to know and like you. Because then when you say, so will you do business with me? They are more inclined to say yes, because now they know you and they like you because you have a common connection. So connection extends into a focus of relationship that takes account of personal rather than purely business needs and interests. So you're not just talking about the business, you're talking about the personal side of the individual and see, can you find connection with them? So it's about taking a genuine interest in the other person rather than purely a focus on the business or influence needs. So it's a genuine interest. Have you got a genuine interest in their business, in how they're going to progress and how they're going to be successful? So there's a mindset that accompanies strong connectors. They tend to be naturally and authentically curious about people, and they want to build rapport. So as a salesperson, you're curious about that other person's business and how are they going to grow and what are their challenges and what are their opportunities. It's part of their DNA. So it's impossible to fake connecting. It's just best to be interested in people. So moving on now about the development and execution or implementation of sales strategies. Execution / implementation is the most relevant business issue today, because you can have lots of plans, but if you cannot implement them, then the plans are useless. Great organizations are able to actually execute or implement and deliver sales strategies that produce world-class results. And it's this ability to execute that separates the good from the great. Because it's okay to have your plan, and it's really, really important to have your plan, but the ability to make it happen is what separates the good from the great. So I want to look at the 4 disciplines of execution. And this comes from the Stephen Covey organization, where they talk about 4 elements of sales execution. And we'll talk about each in turn. First one is focus on the wildly important. Second one is to act on the lead measures. And as I say, we'll talk about each of these now in turn. Keep a compelling scorecard and create a culture of accountability. So focus on the wildly important, act on lead measures, keep a compelling scoreboard, and create a culture of accountability. So the first one, focus on the wildly important. Good leaders and indeed good salespeople always have more good ideas than they can execute, or that they can implement, or that they can do. The ability to prioritize and identify the main goals is an important skill. So as a salesperson, identify 2 or 3 goals that will make all of the difference. I know we all have lots of goals, but what are those top 2 or 3 goals that will make a difference to you, to your business, to how your boss talks to you when he or she is having a review with you? Failure to achieve these goals will render all other achievements inconsequential, because these are the top 2 or 3 goals. So identify what Covey calls your wildly important goals, or your WIGs, W-I-G-S. What are your wildly important goals? So the key challenges then are to achieve a goal you've never achieved before. You must start doing things you've never done before. So remember that as we're asking you to grow and to grow more and to grow in a stronger way that you've been doing up to now, you have to start doing things that you've never done before. So clarity of the goal is critical. Many people simply do not understand the clarity of the goal. They don't understand the goal that they are supposed to execute. So lack of commitment to the goal is another major problem. Some people, they might understand it, but they simply go through the motions. And this is around lack of commitment, lack of attitude, or having an incorrect attitude that we spoke about at the start. The real enemy of execution, however, is your day job, what Covey calls the whirlwind. So the whirlwind is the day job. So that's the urgent. That acts on you all of the time. So the whirlwind is your customer calling you, your boss calling you. You have to answer the phone. You have to get a report done today. So that's the day job. So that acts on us all of the time. And when urgency and importance clash, urgency always wins. So even if I'm with my boss in 5 minutes and the phone rings and it's a big customer, I will have to answer the phone call to my big customer. So the whirlwind includes all the urgent activities that are necessary to sustain the business day to day. And focusing on the wildly important means narrowing the number of goals you're attempting to achieve, to accomplish beyond the day-to-day demands of your whirlwind. Okay, so you have to reduce your number of goals, identify your WIGs. What are those really, really important things that you have to do? So you need to focus on less in order to achieve more. So that sounds difficult to understand and counterintuitive. you need to focus on less in order to achieve more. Because what you're trying to do is focus on the things that are really, really important to you and your organization and your boss to achieve more. So you need to say no to many other deals in order to keep focus on your wigs. Number 2 then is act on the lead measures. The second discipline applies disproportionate energy to the activities that drive your lead measures. This provides the leverage for achieving the lag measure. So a lag measure tells you if you've achieved the goal. So I want to open up 10 accounts. I just count them. Have I opened up 10 accounts? Yes, I have. They're the lag measure. But a lead measure tells you if you're likely to achieve the goal. And a lead measure has to be within your control as a salesperson. So you can't say, if the bank did more in advertising, I'd achieve my goal. No, a lead measure has to be within your control or your team's control. So lead measures, they foretell the result. And they have 2 main characteristics. A lead measure is predictive. Okay, so it's predictive, meaning that if a lead measure changes, you can predict that the lag measure will also change. And a lead measure can be influenced directly by you or your team without significant dependence on another team. And just for an example, let's say I have to open up, my boss says to me, Terry, open up 10 accounts next week, new accounts. And I know that my success rate or my hit rate is probably 1 in 10. So I go to 10 customers before I get someone to open up an account. So my boss says to me, Terry, open up 10 new accounts. I know that I have to have 10 prospects for each account that I'm going to open up. So if to open up 10, I have to have 100 prospects. So at the start of the week, if I don't have 100 prospects, I know I'm not going to achieve the 10 new accounts. So that's what a lead measure is. So a lag measure is a measurement of the result you're trying to achieve. A lead measure eliminates the element of surprise that the sole focus on lag measures has. So by focusing on lag measures, you're hoping on success. And remember, hope is not a strategy. So a lag measure is you're measuring the goal. I check those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, I've opened those accounts. My lead measure is something that will lead to me achieving the goal. So I have 100 prospects. So I'm likely to achieve my goal. Number 3 then is keep a compelling scoreboard. People will not give of their best unless they are emotionally engaged. So that happens if they know if they're winning or losing. So it's important you know how you're doing on your key goals. Are you on target? Are you ahead or are you behind? And if you are behind, how much behind are you? So they have to be visible, they have to be accessible, and they have to be continually updated. So if my boss phones me today, I know how I'm doing. And be sure to keep the scoreboard simple so that everybody can understand it. More importantly, so that you can understand it. The scoreboard should include both the actual results and the target set. So it should tell you where you are now and where you should be. So for example, I had planned 10 customer visits by the end of the week. I actually achieved 8, so I'm 2 behind. And then number 4 is create a culture of accountability. The discipline of accountability is critical to achieving success. So this is personal accountability. If you say you're going to do something, and I'm talking about sales here, you have to do it. Without consistent accountability, people never give of their best. So I'm not going to open up 10 accounts if I'm not busy, or if there's not too many customers in the branch, or if I don't get too many calls or have to do too many customer visits. My boss has agreed with me, I will open up 10 accounts next week. So that's personal accountability. So individuals must constantly commit personally to meet our goals and to be held accountable by their colleagues by means of maybe weekly or regular meetings. So my boss asked me, Terry, you committed to open up 10 accounts. Did you do it? Yes or no? And then coming towards the end, my second last slide, just be mindful of the importance of what we call high impact commitments. So it's important that individuals commit to weekly actions that have the highest possible impact. So start with a question. What are the 1 or 2 most important things I can do this week to impact on the performance of my scoreboard or my targets? So say that again. What are the 1 or 2 most important things I can do to start this week, to impact on the performance of the scoreboard? Okay. So following through on a few high impact commitments is far more important than making a lot of commitments. So follow through on those high impact commitments. You want to do a few things with excellence, not a lot of things with mediocrity. And the more commitments, the less likely the follow through becomes. So if you have lots of things that you say you're going to do, the chances are that you're not going to commit on any of them. If you identify your weeks and say, here are the 1 or 2 things I'm going to do, then you're more likely to achieve it. And then my last slide, when we're looking at accountability, where you want to be when we're talking about accountability, you want to be above that bar there. You want to be someone that has feels responsibility for delivering on their own results, and they feel powerful that they have the tools and they have the confidence and they have the skills to deliver. Because if you're below the line, you might feel a victim or you feel powerless. And you're blaming other people, you're making excuses and you're waiting and you're hoping for things to happen. As I said, hope is not a strategy. A good salesperson and a good sales organization looks at above the line there. So you acknowledge the reality. Yes, I have challenges. Here's where I am now. You own it. You take personal responsibility. And then you look at solutions, find solutions. How am I going to make a significant impact? And then you go and do it. You fix it. You solve the problem. You go and talk to more customers and you grow your business. So that's the end of my formal piece. I hope you found it interesting. The slides, as Edmund said, will be available on the website, as will a recording of this webinar. So I'm going to hand over to Edmund now to see are there any questions from the listeners.
Right. Thank you very much. Very so grateful. I could pick some few things that I want to take home. I don't know about my other colleagues on the platform. The first thing you talk about was the ACTS acronym, where you talked about ACTS meaning attitude, skills, and knowledge. And then you went on to look at the attributes of a salesperson. And I just said to myself, no, I can't be a good salesperson because I don't think I have the enthusiasm so well, but I have the confidence. And then intelligent I can say to myself, I am intelligent. And then I have self-worth. And then there's also, I have this good communication skills. But enthusiasm is maybe where the problem comes from. So maybe I'll come for more tips. Then it will help me to be able to address my issues very well. You talked about the 3 C's, confidence, credibility, and connection. I love that 3 C's very well. You said that we should focus on less in order to achieve more. These are my take homes for me. I'm opening it up. I can see one hand. Whenever I put it down, it comes up. Maybe the person wants to speak. Let me get, if I can get him to speak, to get her to speak. Winifred Baba Fosu, can we hear from you, Winifred? I have a couple of questions, but I want to give chance to our attendees to be able to do that. Yeah, Winifred. Winifred, do you want to ask a question? I've seen your hand very up all this while. Yes, Winifred. Okay, whilst I wait for Winifred, I think my first question is coming to drop. As I said, I have a couple of questions to ask. So without wasting more time, let me ask my first question. I think that will make open room for the others to also ask their questions. Right. The 3 C's that you talked about confidence, credibility, and connection. You said the 3 C's of selling about connection. I am a very shy person, as you can see. Leonard, I'm just a shy person and also an introvert and not very good at developing relationship with customers. What can I do to improve, this kind of problem if I still want to be in this champion of winning sales and marketing? What can I do, sir?
Very good question, Edmund. And many people think that because they are shy and introvert, that they cannot be a good salesperson. But that's not true. The first thing to remember is that we all have our own styles and personalities, and you should remain authentic to whom you are. Okay, so if you are shy and introvert, that's fine. Good salespeople come in all types. So you don't need to be an extrovert to be successful in sales. The key to developing sales is developing a connection with customers. So to ask questions of customers and to be interested in them. So I'd suggest maybe developing a range of open questions that you will have prepared before you go into a customer. So you might say to them, how's your business going? How's your family going? What plans have you got? So be curious and show a genuine interest and have those questions prepared before you go in, and that will certainly help you get over your shyness.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful. I think that from today, I'm going to come out of my shelf and be able to start some sales. So please, institutions on this platform, please, I'm ready to be employed for that purpose. And now that I've been given the broader knowledge and information in those areas, I think I want to just put in my skill to help me in that respect. I'm seeing Richard, Jay, your hand is up. Richard, come through with your question, please. Richard. Okay, whilst I wait for Richard, Jacob, I can see your hand up. Jacob, your hand is up. Jacob, come through.
Yeah, hello, Edmund.
Okay, Richard, yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, good afternoon. Okay, I have a very simple question. I've learned something very critical here. That is selling point by developing a cordial relation with your customers in order to know their needs and all that. So looking at that against that of wide marketing or wide selling, that example, maybe making radio adverts, mounting down billboards. Okay, so these two things. So what should we look at? Which one will be the best for maybe a business? That maybe you have to critically maintain a relation, do a progressive door-to-door marketing with your customer, or the other one, which is the wide aspect, looking at the wide reaching out, like social media, the radio advert. So I would want to seek opinion on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard.
Okay,
so Richard is looking at the interpersonal connectivity to get to clients, the relation in getting to client, or the use of the social media, among others. So Terry, your view on this?
Yeah, another good question. And I think the answer is yes and yes. It's important to have a market presence and a presence in the market. So if you have a broad media coverage, be it radio or social media, that is important. But it's also important.
Jacob, please. Okay.
Yeah, so it's also important to recognize your strategically important customers. And for those customers, you have to develop a relationship with, a strong relationship with. So you have to do both. You have to have a presence in the market with mass media, and that can be radio, it can be social media, it can be press or whatever. But for your prospects that are high worth or that are going to give you more and more business, then it's about a relationship. So you have to develop a relationship with them. So you need to decide which are the ones that I actually have to set time and effort to develop a relationship with. So that's my answer on that one, Edmund.
Okay, thank you very much. Jacob, can you come through? Yes.
Okay, please, my question is that sometimes you walk to people and you are selling. For the first time, the person rejects you. Second time, you are being rejected. So for how long as a salesperson do you have to keep trying?
Wow.
Okay. I give you an example, Jacob. I worked in Kenya a few years ago, and I was with a bank, and I was speaking to the bank's top salesman. And I said, what's your hit rate? What's your success rate? And he told me his success rate was 1 in 10. So he goes to 10 people before he gets someone to say yes. But I think where you're really going, your real core of your question is, how long should you stay with a customer? And this refers to managing the pipeline, because you have a pipeline, you have your prospects there. And what you're trying to do, Jacob, is you're trying to get your customers down that pipeline as fast as possible to say yes to you to do business, or no, so that you can move on. And this is, it depends on you, it depends on the customer. If it's a really big customer, that might take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Who knows? But you know that the potential is worth it. If it's a customer that doesn't have a high potential, then you might say, listen, after 2 times or 3 times, I'm not going to go back. But what you do is you put them on your list and you go back in maybe 3 months or 6 months time. So remember, Jacob, you might lose a sale, but never lose the relationship in case you want to go back in 3 months or 6 months time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So can I see Senanu want to ask a question? Senanu, please ask the question. Senanu, please, the floor is open for you, Senanu. Okay, whilst we are waiting for Senanu to come through, I can see Francis Abwaje. Your hand is up. Francis Abwaje.
Hello, Edmond.
Yes, boss. Senanu.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
During the presentation, Terry talked about the 3 C's.
Yes.
And then he talked about the connection and said, if you don't connect to the customer genuinely, they will know. And I want to find out, is there any set of questions that you find to find a common ground to connect to the customer genuinely?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's a real hard one, because everybody is different. And this is why when you're with a customer, you should be asking questions, be curious, try and find out. If you're in the office and you see a picture of their family, you could say, "Oh, is that your family?" And maybe you have a family with kids with similar age. You might in talking find out that they like football, and you say, "Oh, I like football," or "I don't like football." So you are on the lookout all of the time to try and understand or identify an area that you have common connection. So the phrase I would use is be curious. So you're asking lots of different questions at the start to try and get that connection. It could be maybe you come from the same locality. It could be that your father was born in the same town as your prospect. So it's about constantly asking those questions to try and find out, get the customer to talk. So if you're doing the talking, you're not going to be winning. The more the customer talks, you're trying to understand, have I got a similarity with the customer? So get the customer to talk. One way or another, you're trying to get the customer to talk. And then you're saying, this customer likes to travel, so do I. This customer likes to read novels, so do I. And that's where you get your connection. But the thing is, trying to get the customer to talk, and you're all the time, you have your antenna going on to say, where is the similarity? Where is the connection that I can develop with this person?
Right. Thank you. So, Richard Abazivo. Your hand is up. Okay, Richard. Yes. So from there, then we'll go to Richard Ajay.
Thank you very much.
Richard, please go on.
Yes, I want to work marketing, open marketing, where maybe you meet a group of people. Comparing that with meeting an individual, which one would be the best alternative? Because with credibility issues, if you should meet a group of people in marketing, maybe one out of the group might have had an experience which is either positive or negative. And based on that, meeting the group, it could have an impact, either positive or negative. But meeting the person one-on-one, whereby the person has never had any encounter with you and an experience with you, maybe in marketing your product to such a person, the person might accept it. So I want to know, comparing the two, which of them will be more effective?
Edmund, would you remind us, would you just repeat that question for me, Edmund, please?
He was talking about a group type of marketing. Richard, is that what you were saying? Because there was a lot of noise at your background.
Yes, please. That was what I was saying. I was trying
So
to
you are comparing a group type of marketing to an individual type of marketing, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, and you're asking which one is the best out of the lot among the two, okay? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right. So Terry is asking about whether group marketing is the best or an individual marketing strategy is the best. That is what he's trying to ask.
Yeah.
And then he's basing this on the word credibility that you spoke about, I mean, in length when you were having your presentation done.
Yes. See. Again, it's another good question. When we're looking at marketing, there's a whole range of activities that you can use and a whole range of tools that you use. Group marketing is really important when you're trying to get to a large number of people. And again, that's through media, social media, or whatever. But depending on the type of business that you're going after or the customer, if you're going after someone who's maybe an owner of a company or a managing director or a finance director, and these people maybe are the decision makers or influencers, it's really important that you develop a relationship with them. And that's why when we spoke about developing your network so that you can talk to these people on a one-to-one basis. We spoke about referrals. So if you're going to someone and they are a senior position in a company, that if you are referred to them from someone that they know, that's important. So it really does depend. I would say as a rule of thumb, the bigger the business that you're going after, it really is important that you develop a relationship. And just to give you an example, in a former life, I was managing director of a company, and I was managing director for 10 years. And what I found is, what did I buy first? And it goes back to my slides. First of all, I would buy the person. I bought the person first. And this is about that connection. And I'd see, did I like them, and could I do business with them, and could they help me? So as from the other side of the fence, from the customer side of the fence, I was buying the person. And I think so it depends on if you're going after someone who's high net worth or a good influencer, then really a relationship with that person, individual relationship, is very, very important. Thanks, Edmund.
Yeah,
Can I
please
ask,
go. So please go ahead.
Yes, please. Based on that, is it looking at our sector, considering the microfinance and the banking sector? What happens is definitely a customer had a bad experience with the institution, and here like the case, you are marketing an open space, maybe a group, and that same customer is within, and on your marketing, won't that same customer, the experience he has with you, expose that experience to the group? In other ways, if that same customer has a good experience with you, that good experience will equally have effect on the group as well.
Yeah, yes. So you're absolutely right. If someone has a good experience with you, that will reflect on the group. And you cannot keep every customer happy all of the time. So there will be times when someone says, Terry, I dealt with your company and I hadn't got a good experience. What you need to do is to accept that and say, okay, tell me about your experience. Let me know what happened. Apologize to the customer for the experience that they had. Say, oh, I'm sorry that you had that experience. Tell me more about it. And then say, can I have the opportunity to try and resolve that issue or to show you that actually we now give a better service or the problem that you had, you will not encounter it again because we've taken measures. So if someone has a bad experience, you need to take it on board and try and turn that around and say, I apologize for that. I hear what you're saying. I can understand how you would have felt. Let me understand what happened and let me see, can I do it right or can I make amends? And that's what I would suggest in that sort of situation.
Right. Thank you. Richard Ajay, please come through. Richard, I can see your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Edmund.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And my first question was well answered, and I really appreciate that. So I just want to make a follow-up. Okay, considering in the presentation, there was one key thing that I noted, that is about the level of confidence. Okay, and I also learned that in advancing our confidence, we need to be well prepared. We need to plan. Okay, but my question is, considering our industry or the part of the world where we are faced with limited resources. We are faced with limited resources. So at a point when you augment your confidence, when you increase your confidence, and at this point you embrace with a lot of customers and sale point.
You can't
You realize
service. Yeah, Richard, we are listening.
Resources, sorry. The word is limited. You have limited resources to meet your increased sales. But what do you do? What do you do in this situation? I don't know. To sum it up, I mean that you increase your confidence, and in order to get well prepared to meet and increase sales, you are faced with limited resources. How then do you put yourself together to meet such challenge where you have increased sales yet you have limited resources available to meet that sales? Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Again, a great question. And I think every bank I've worked with, Richard, actually have, and throughout the world, they will say the same thing. We have limited resources. Even the big banks, they say, "Oh, we have limited resources." So every salesperson, every manager is going to be impacted by that. They will have more things that they want to do than they have resources to do. So here's where prioritization comes in. What are the things that you really have to do? So, and we spoke about WIGs, your wildly important goals. What are the things that are really, really important? And that might mean you have to say no to other things. So I cannot do this because I want to deliver on the things that I can do. The other thing I would say about when you have limited resources, look at things that are within your control. We call it a circle of influence, things that you or your team can do on their own. And you might say, well, I need more finances from marketing department. I need more resources from HR, but that's outside of your control. You and your team sit down and say, okay, we would like to have these, but we're not going to get them. So now within our circle of influence, what can we do? And within the limited resources that we have, what can we do? And we've identified our top priorities 1, 2, and 3. And I guarantee you, because I've been in this position, if you sit down with your team and say, you say that, we would like to have that, but we're not going to get it. We've limited resources. Here's our top priorities. And then you plan what you're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do, 1, 2, and 3. And what you should try and always do, what I've always done, I've tried to identify the thing that I can do that will give me the biggest return in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of effort. So let me just say that again. So I've limited resources. So I've always tried to see what's the things that I can do that will give me the biggest return in the shortest amount of time with the that will give me the maximum amount of return. So if you look at it in that way, you will achieve what you can within your circle of influence, and you won't be wasting your time. Because what happens is lots of people then start complaining, I need more staff, I need more marketing funds, etc. You just focus on your circle of influence, the things that you and your team can do, and I guarantee it will pay dividend for you. Edmund?
Thank you very much. I believe that we've exhausted a lot of questions today. And as I said, there are more that as we get people coming through with their very next questions, we'll be able to bring it to you for you to help us to deliver on them. So on this note, I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given us and for the insight that you have shared with us. Terry, we are so grateful. And I have learned so much. As I said, today I've now become a new employee for the sales and marketing service in the system. So I am now ready for action. But saying that, we should also be mindful that this is a 4 series of activities that we are doing. We've done the first one, which was last week, where we looked at the customer service in relation to the microfinance business. Today, we are also looking at, we have looked at becoming the sales champion, where we looked at the skills, and then we also looked at the techniques that will help us to become that particular person to support the overall objective of our institutions. We have other 2 series of activities that will be coming up. The next of this series will be on the 10th of October, and that will be sales, and that will be handling customer complaints. This is also a very difficult area to tell you, and I believe that majority of us are going to still be part of this important discussion, handling customer complaints. We often hear people saying, some of our customers are very difficult. How can we handle their complaints to be able to make them our best customers? Terry will be here, God willing, on 10th of October to be able to help us through the process. And then he will finish his presentation on the 25th of October. That's going to be the final one, developing an MSME focused marketing and sales plan to improve sales performance. So that will be the last of the series. Please, if you have started this discussion, don't leave it at the middle of event. Make sure you continue to have a complete set of discussion to help you go through. And also we'll be chipping in another webinar program, which is going to be on the 13th of October. I'll be sharing that information with you. That is not Terry, but we'll share that information with you. And it's going to be on customer relationship management, another wild area. It's also going to be a webinar that we'll share with you also, I mean, in the coming days, for you to also be part of the discussion. Having said that, let's also not forget the other training programs that are on, I mean, about to go on. The fiscal program with regards to the board of directors certification program, where we said that is for ladies alone and is going for 500 per person. That is a face-to-face training program. We have shared the site with you. Try and register as soon as you can to be part of it. It's also having an exciting part of it. And then also we said that for a long time, we have not done anything for auditors and accountants in this program or in the space. So please, we have also rolled out another program, a face-to-face 3-day program like that. Please also join for that. So without wasting more time, we say thank you all, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors, in your business activities. Please, it is time, go back to your business and make the difference, make the change. Let people see everyone on this platform as a change manager to be able to raise the bigger flag of microfinance in the country. I wish you all the best for the day, and God bless you for your time.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.